Namaskar, this is Vandana Chindan from Chicago, TV Asia. I am going to touch a subject which is very close to my heart. We are South Asians, we are Indian Americans right here living for more than 6 to 7 decades now. So we do have our issues, and time has come that we should be coming out openly and talking about it. We do know what community is going through and how we can come and help each other. As we know, AAPI is the organization, every second sixth physician of Indian origin is of like who's serving us, and we owe them big time. With me is Dr. Satish Katulaji. Namaskar, we welcome you. And as I just mentioned, what all you've been doing it to save the humanity, we cannot even thank you is not even enough word. So let's talk about what, because this has started before, long time ago, like when people are suffering about it. So what is the new development that today we are going to talk about it? These people do suffer about the transplants that they need to have it. So please share, and what is API doing about it and how we can reach to masses.
Sure. So thank you, Vanraji, for having us and promoting this very important mission that AAPI has undertaken. I'm a hematologist and oncologist, and I have seen a lot of cancer patients going through, the diagnosis of leukemia, lymphoma, and not finding bone marrow donors. And we have very good treatments now, but some people become refractory to treatments, and they do need bone marrow transplant or stem cell transplant. So I've seen that for the last 25 years, and people are doing Indian communities bits and pieces in their communities when there is a need. At that time, we have to really scramble to find a donor. And it's very, very uncommon to find a donor for people of South Asian descent, including Indians. So, and through API, we wanted to do this project this year. We started this a few months ago, and we are gaining some momentum. We are trying to reach out to Indian organizations, and we tied up with the thing called the NMDP, National Marrow Donor Program. So that's what we are trying to do. We are trying to educate people that we need to increase our pool of registrants, because the chance of finding a donor for a Caucasian is about 20 to 30% if they need one. But for Indians and South Asians, it's less than 0.01%. So it is very hard to find bone marrow donor. So that's why it is important to promote this, to educate people. Always people think about bone marrow transplant is, drilling the bone marrow and taking the bone marrow out. That's not the case anymore. Things have changed over the years. Now we have stem cells, which are actually taken out from the arm with a line, which is a simple process. And even testing for it is also very simple. All we have to collect is a buccal mucosal sample, a cheek swab, so to speak. So that is done very easily. And if somebody needs, the donor, then they will contact the donor. So the chance of that is less. But even if they are called, it's a simple procedure. So it's not painful as people think.
As you did mention, this me being Vandana Jingan, would you please educate me how painful this procedure is? Because most of the people are very scared. There is less education onto that. They feel that we may have to go for lock picking and all. But as I know from my perspective, it's not like, just swab and all. So please, and how we can save someone's life, it's very, very crucial in today's time.
So giving stem cells is not painful, as I just mentioned. Sample is very easy. Even taking it is very easy. I mean, it's like blood transfusion. The people who are receiving it, it's collected in a bag, and then you inject that after some conditioning regimen, what we call. That could be radiation, that could be chemotherapy, and then it kills all the cells in the blood and bone marrow, and then you inject the donor cells. The donor cells have what is called graft versus leukemia effect, and they recognize these leukemia or lymphoma cells as foreign, and the donor cells kill them. So that's how it works. But giving is painless procedure. All they need is a line. We collect the stem cells with a machine. We don't need to do bone marrow biopsies or bone marrow collections. And then receiving it is easy also for somebody who needs it. So this is an easy thing, but again, donors have no complications. Very minimal complications, I should say. Only line-related complications. Those are very, very minimal. That the recipients may have some issues based on the match and everything. If they are full match, there is something called graft versus host disease. If they are not full match, then the recipients may develop things like graft versus host disease. But if the match is full, if the donor is a full match with the recipient, the chance of that graft versus host disease is much, much less. So that's
Uh,
why it's very important
So
to
my
find
next
match.
question comes to you. I being Vandana Jingan, if I want to be on the list, what it needs me to do it? And is it that my like registry, which can go to, it's not necessary that it will be going to my brother or my mother or my father. It can be to anyone, like the match,
Yes,
just to
yes.
educate us.
Because we share, blood typing, for example, that's a different thing for blood transfusions. But there is something called HLA typing, which actually we have some people who match with our HLA, our tissue. So that's what we are trying to find. But you have to be registered in the registry to actually screen for these people if somebody needs it. It's not as simple as blood typing. It's a little bit more testing involved in that for finding the HLA typing. For that, just buccal mucosal sample is enough, and that can be an important thing for a lot of people to have a donor. Yeah.
Can you share that where they can go, api.org, that website where they can go register if
Yes,
they're.
they can go to rp.org where we have a QR code, and that can take them to the website where they can register.
Mhm,
And once they register, then they send a kit from
mhm.
NMDP, and the people can collect their buccal swab or cheek swab and send it back to the registry so they are registered in the pool. So whenever there is a need, then they may call them. The chance of that is pretty low. But like I said, even if they are called, it's a painless procedure for the donor.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate that. And it is my appeal to the community because we are so well in advance. We are very well educated intellects. So, how my small effort can save someone's life. And with me is a little, I think, Ishan, you're 11 years old, if I'm not wrong, right? So, let's
Seven.
share about your journey. How did you got into this?
So sorry, I'm actually 17 years old. I'm a
Oh,
junior.
17. Okay.
I live in River Hills, Wisconsin.
Mhm,
And so basically, leukemia is a type of cancer that affects the blood and bone marrow, where blood cells are produced.
mhm.
Cancer can be classified as either acute or chronic, with acute forms progressing rapidly and chronic forms developing more slowly, often making them harder to detect. So my father was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, or AML, in August of 2023. This particular strain of cancer is rare like any form of cancer, although it is especially aggressive, dangerous, and complex. My dad was always a healthy guy, trying to get active every weekend. He maintained a balanced diet and prioritized his health whenever he could. Like many Indians, he would be vegetarian for some time of the week and refrain from any red meat. And for his age, he was at the pinnacle of health, without a doubt. When we heard the news about his diagnosis, it was devastating as expected. My first response was to decipher the answer to the situation as I scrambled to find statistics and numbers about mortality and procedures for the illness, as prior to this, I practically had no knowledge on any form of cancer care. We quickly learned that his case was very serious, as even though it was detected early on, he would require a bone marrow transplant as soon as possible. During his initial stages of induction chemotherapy, my family and our team at Freighter Hospital were looking for a match for a stem cell transplant without avail. In the United States, Indians make up 1 to 2% of the population, which is still more than 5 million people. Though, not surprisingly, the National Registry, or NMDP, is composed of around 1% Indian people. Um, One of the problems is that many of these people registered in the 90s or early 2000s, making them ineligible for donation now due to age restrictions. We were depending on the second generation of Indians in the United States to create a safeguard or shield for desperate individuals, such as my dad. Luckily, in February of 2024, my dad received a sibling match from his brother who lives in India, which is a 25% chance for those with siblings. The registry viable candidates are dwindling because of the misunderstanding of the procedure. If an individual between the ages of 18 and 40 were to register, the National Marrow Donation Program, or NMDP, would send them a free cheek swab kit and a prepaid envelope for them to send back once used. They will analyze their genetic makeup and attempt to match them with a patient. If matched, they would be contacted and request to donate a blood sample. And as Dr. Kutula said, it is quite rare. But when you are contacted, you are kind of expected to have like a commitment to the cause. And then they would request a blood sample, and this donation is like any other blood donation, and you will pay absolutely nothing associated with the entire process. And I have been working to create awareness in my local communities, such as the local Hindu temple and cultural events such as AAPI events. I urge anyone with the capability to spread the word, though, through any way seen fit.
Dr. Satish Kathula, I come back again to you. Is there any age limit that we like need to have for the sampling?
Yeah, 18 to 40 years, as Ishan said.
18 to 40.
18 to 40, yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you, Ishan, for sharing your journey. And we are very happy that your father is doing pretty good. I
Yes,
spoke
thank
to
you.
him, and God's grace, everybody comes into the same. Now comes to Shivani ji. Shivani ji is the mother of Aditya. Shivani ji, let's hear from you. How did you find out about Aditya? What were the symptoms like? Did you notice? And then he got diagnosed.
Sure. So, hello everyone. My name is Shivani Bojak, and my son, he's 10-year-old. I have older son. His name is Shiv. He's 12-year-old. My both boys are very active and very playful, and especially Aditya, who has been diagnosed with ALL type of leukemia in September after summer holidays. He's a very active child who loves to play football and basketball, and he's very smart kid in school. This thing came all of a sudden. We were not expecting. He was learning his skating in India during summer holidays, and he was complaining about his knee pain. And I was like, maybe you fall on, and it's hurting. But the pain did not go away. It was getting more and more severe at the point that he was not able to walk. And I took him to the doctors after coming back to US, and he was also showing on and off fevers. But this fever was, it was difficult to understand because anytime if he is sick or he has fever, he will just come and stick with me, like a child coming to his mother, and he's always around me. But this time he was super active, and that was a bit confusing for me, that something is really off, like this is not usual. Meanwhile, it was my time to come back home to US, and we came back here, and I took him to the doctor's office. They were worried about his knee pain. They took X-ray. They were not able to find anything. They were just trying to find out what's going on in the knee, and they tried taking X-ray of the second knee, but um, it was just clear. I think God gave me instinct, or I would say, I requested doctors to do blood test instead of going through the knee X-rays, and there we found out that he has white blood cells count of 340,000, and it was massive. It was just shocking to see the reports. Usually, kids at his age, 10-year-old kid should range white blood cells from 4,000 to 9,000, but it was 340,000. And now we have finished. He was diagnosed as high risk of cancer, and this is just unbelievable for our family. Like very active child who is running around playing basketball and playing with his brother. What just happened to him? We are requesting here from AAPI group to find a donor. We have done his induction cycle, his 2 months of consolidation cycle, he's still at high risk. Leukemia is very stubborn. The final treatment for him to cure him is bone marrow transplant. So we are here to request each and everyone who is listening to this message, please come forward and register yourself. The newer generation, please to save kids' lives.
We'll pray and to Almighty, this happens soon. Those who are watching this program, please make sure that you spread this. You share the links so that it can go to masses. There are people, our community is very generous, but they need to know about it. And that's what we are right here. Jyoti ji, with me is Dr. Jyoti, who is the mother of Ishan and wife of Dr. Vijay. They have really faced it day in, day out for such a long time. And I would like you to share your journey. How painful was it as being a wife, like, and kids? And and I would like you to make an appeal because that is very, very important for people that they can just contribute because they don't know. It's not when they know it, so there will be flow that because as your son was mentioning, Dr. Satish, I do know there used to be very active in every community event. Our people were giving the swabs. I have seen it. I've covered many stories, and there are very successful stories also in this. Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Vandanaji. Good evening, everybody. My name is Jyoti Ane, and I'm from Milwaukee. And I'm here to share my personal story and struggles with finding a matching stem cell donor for my family member. My husband, Dr. Vijay Ane, was previously very active person who was the director of the critical care program in Milwaukee, was suddenly diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia. He had been healthy, as I said, like in the past, very active, and not that while ago, he did serve as a president for the AAPI Wisconsin chapter. And he was involved in raising a lot of funds and even donated for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So in August of 2023, we were preparing for a vacation. Just 3 days onset of flu-like symptoms suddenly threw him to another side. So we had to quickly, hold our vacation plans, and so ended up getting some labs done, and then where we found out his white blood cells were very, very high, and so it was a sudden huge shock and felt like a sudden blow to the entire family. Many of his friends who had seen him biking just 4 days before his diagnosis were stunned by this news. His colleagues who had worked until the day of the diagnosis were in shock, couldn't believe this happened, for such an active, person, healthy and previously active person. So, so while we were still reeling from this news, and he had began his induction chemotherapy, another shocking news came on us that in order to survive, he needed a stem cell transplant. So, and soon, I quickly learned about the National Marrow Donor Program through the hospital, and I started looking into it. And then initially, I was very happy that this huge amount of donor pool. But then more I saw, it was very invisible, Indian donor pool, and it was I did not get any match for Vijay. And then, so we were in one of the best hospitals, getting the treatment with the best bone marrow transplant team, but then with no cell matching cells here. So it was very disappointing, and it was very heartbreaking. And so at that point, it was my sole responsibility to find matching cells for my husband. And it was very hard. And I was in the other side of the spectrum now, taking care of my husband. We were I was in the caregiver side now. It was very hard. So yeah, and then so we started I started reaching out to my friends, my family members, and even strangers, and I was very desperate to get the stem cell matching stem cells at that point. It took several days to go through this search, and then finally, unfortunately, his brother was a match for Vijay. So each day felt like a decade for me. So it was very frustrating and very disappointing. And I was always worried about leukemia coming back. A relapse is going to happen if I don't find the matching cells in a right time. I can only imagine what Shivani's family is going through. In Shivani's case, in Aditya's case, his brother is not a match. So we have to find
Yeah, you need to be
so
18
the
and
donor
above.
from the outside of the family here. And hence it's very critical, for everybody.
Time bound.
Yes, to understand that time is running and we have to help this family. And my request is please everybody register through Be My Match, and so we have to increase the donor pool, in that way we're all it can save the life, and then it can save anybody's life here. And then creating awareness is very, very important. Anybody, people who don't know about this should be educated as well. So I really request everybody to spread this awareness and get educated, and it is for your own, saving your own life and saving also other people's life.
Thank you so very much for sharing your journey. And I really appreciate the time of all of yours. So this is the race with the time, and we have to win it. And we will. I think our Indian community is very, very active. When they when they decide something to do it, it will happen. With this, I, Vandana Chingan, appeal to each and every one of you, whosoever is watching, please share this video for someone's life, and we will be able to save many, many lives. Thank you, Dr. Satish. Thank you, Jyoti ji. Thank you, Shivani ji. And thank you, Ishan.
Thank you.
Namaskar.
Thank you.
Thank you.